Alrighty, guys, we're back for God of War, and this is a Murders at Karlov Manor Standard brew, and I'm Red Cat. Let's go over the deck, then hop right into some ranked, rockin' all four Warleader's Call. 3-mana enchantment creatures you control get +1/+1. Whenever a creature enters the battlefield under your control, Warleader's Call deals 1 damage to each opponent. Nice. Now this time around, we're going to be pairing Warleader's Call with Ojer Axonil. 4-mana, 4/4, legendary creature, God. Nice. It does have trample, and if a red source you control would deal an amount of non-combat damage less than Ojer Axonil's power to an opponent, that source deals damage equal to Ojer Axonil's power instead. Okay, so what ends up happening then is if on turn 3 you drop Warleader's Call, and on turn 4 you drop Ojer Axonil, is actually going to be a 5/5 at that point because the call is buffing it. So what happens then is the 1 damage that's going to be hitting your opponent's face is actually just going to turn into 5 damage, which is absolutely ridiculous. And then if you get to keep these things around, the opponent's just going to die next turn, dude, because you're going to like spam out some creatures and all of those creatures will just be an extra 5 damage to their face. Like, I can't imagine the opponent surviving if we actually get to keep Ojer Axonil and Warleader's Call on the board. It'd be absolutely ridiculous. Or you get a couple Warleader's Call down, right? And then eventually drop the Ojer Axonil. Just a wild combo, dude. Which actually reminds me, guys, this was a suggestion down in the comments. Thank you so much for the suggestion. It's definitely going to be a fun one. Now, we do have more packed in here that works well with Ojer, but also works well with our go wide combos as well. So like Sunshot Militia is a 2-mana 1/3. Tap 2 untapped artifacts and or creatures you control. Sunshot Militia deals 1 damage to each opponent. Yeah, pretty good. Now that's non-combat damage, so it works with Ojer. And then it just, since we're going wide with all this stuff anyways, like we're going to be going wide with some artifacts too from our 1-drops, of course. Yeah, a little bit of a different style of Boros build. Now, there's going to be a whole bunch of stuff in the honorable mentions that we see all the time that we could potentially consider trading out. But remember, Ojer's ability is non-combat damage. Okay, so we also have some ways to go wide, like Resolute Reinforcements here. This is a 2-mana sorcery. Create 2 1/1 blue and red elemental creature tokens. Nice. We got 4 Resolute Reinforcements. Yep, terrific card. Some removal here in the 2-mana spot as well. 3 Get Lost. So, 2-mana instant speed, destroy target creature, enchantment, or planeswalker. Its controller creates 2 map tokens. Now, way more often than not, you're going to be hitting something that the opponent has because, like, everything's so powerful all the time. You know, if you're up against a mirror match, for example, with Warleader's Call, that's going to be a great enchantment to go ahead and pick up. Giving the opponent map tokens, that's a minimal cost, bro. But every now and then, there may be a moment where you actually end up hitting one of your own things, one of your own creatures. Get a couple map tokens, tap those down for like Sunshot Militia or something. You never know, bro. It's a line of play, so we should go over it just in case. Now, our 1-mana spots, guys, we got 3 Yotian Frontliners. Being an artifact creature is going to be important. The Unearth happens to be really powerful too. We have all 4 Novice Inspectors here, 1-mana 1/2. Enters the battlefield, you get that Investigate. The clue goes a long way. Of course, the extra artifacts go a long way for the Sunshot Militia too. And more extra artifacts, Voldaren Epicure also making the cut, and Epicure pairs beautifully with the Ojer Axonil as well. So that's really cool, huh? Because when it ETBs, deals 1 damage to each opponent, of course, that's not combat damage. Then the blood tokens tap down for the Sunset Militia. It's going to pair beautifully. All the extra artifacts we can, of course, destroy with Gleeful Demolition to go wide with some goblins too. So that could come in handy too. And then all the extra goblins, you don't end up swinging with all this stuff. You could totally tap them down to the Sunshot Militia as well. Of course, that is definitely what you want to be doing, especially if you have the Ojer on the board as well. Okay, guys, the mana base, we have Battlefield Forge, Sundown Pass, and a Restless Bivouac. We do have a couple Crucible of Defiance in here because generating spirits is going to be important in a deck like this. Only 1 Seat of the Empire. We are leaning towards the red mana because that's what the deck is leaning towards as well. Okay, buckle up for the honorable mentions, guys. We have been seeing a lot of Boros recently, like a lot. And I feel like there's a lot of great ways to actually put it together. Funny enough, as crazy as this combo is, I actually think this is going to be one of the jankier ways to put it together, but hey, I might be wrong, dude. Honorable mentions. thought about Lunarch Veteran, actually. I feel like we don't see this enough in those Boros decks. I think the life gain just goes that extra mile, huh? So no Warden of the Inner Sky in this build feels super duper weird, huh? But instead of the Warden tapping our creatures down, we really just want to use that Sunshot Militia as one of our main win conditions. So no Warden of the Inner Sky this time around. Lantern Flare. Why isn't Lantern Flare being played as, like, at the very least, a one of in some of those Boros decks, huh? What happened to this card? I guess, like, Lantern Flare might not actually be as good as, like, Lightning Helix, because this can actually hit the opponent's face. But every now and then, that flare is going to come down and just deal 5 damage to something, or more, right? 7 damage to something, gain you 7 life. So that's something Lightning Helix can't do. But yeah, Lightning Helix, honorable mentions too. Bard Bared Beard. I always see, I make the joke because I've pronounced this card differently like every time I've played with it. This is a very solid card paired with the Warleader's Call. Maybe it actually should be a one of in here, but probably not. We have a lot of 2-mana stuff. What about Charming Scoundrel for the build? Here's a big one, guys. Emodane's Recruiter has taken me out more than any other card in the last 2 weeks. Emodane's Recruiter has been an absolute MVP in Boros. But since we're not going for the whole attacking strategy here, we're going more for non-combat damage with the Militia and more of a combo side of things with Ojer. I actually just don't, like, maybe it should still be a 1 or a 2 of, though, right? So you never know. Urabrask's Forge could have been a cool one, at least as a 1 of. I am seeing a lot of control too. Actually seeing, like, good variety overall. What about you guys, right? Like, sometime, like, a couple videos ago, we ran into the Boros deck like four matches in a row. But overall, like, I'm seeing a good variety between control, between some mid-range builds, right? Like Golgari and Mono Black and stuff. And then a lot of different varieties of aggro running about between Gruul, Boros, Mono White, Mono Red, of course, right? Like, there's a lot of different decks floating about. Anyways, guys, Urabrask's Forge, that could have been a cool one too. And then I thought about some of the Convoke cards, like Stoke the Flames especially, since, again, we're going for the non-combat side of things. But then Knight Errant Avios could be really cool to restock our hand. But I do think, like, the Knight Errant Avios belongs in the build that has Recruiter in it as well. So, yeah, not this time around. All of these honorable mentions for a very good reason, though. Okay, guys, enough rambling. Let's go ahead, take it into some ranked, and see how we do. All right, we'll see if we can get right into that first game. In the meantime, what am I expecting from the build? Boros is good, man. If we can get that combo on the board, I think there's little chance of the opponent surviving. You know what I mean? Okay, opponent goes first. Tapped land is slow, but Inspector, a chance of seeing an untapped source off the top. I believe we have 24 total mana in here because we always want to curve out to 4 in this build. So, keepable. I don't think this is bad at all. Hey, there's an untapped source. Island from the opponent. Get that Inspector down. With all the Boros that has been floating about, hopefully we don't get too many opponents conceding today. Okay, Fateful Absence. We can successfully... I'm going to play a little bit slow here to get the Restless Bivouac down. By doing that, we ensure if we see a Warleader off the top, we can actually play it. It was not a Warleader's Call, but that's fine and dandy. Getting the tap land down is still pretty good. I think we have a couple clues, guys. Just a couple, though. Start with the swing. See what happens. One gets through. Let's go wide here and hope. And hope that Depopulate doesn't land next turn. Dissipate. Ah. While they're tapped out, do we want to do Reinforcements? Probably not. Because if we go Reinforcements, they could drop the 4th land and go Depopulate. Whereas if now, like, we do Reinforcements at the end of their turn, see what happens. And at that point, they might just want to keep, like, a Wandering Emperor open. Or it could be another Dissipate too. which wouldn't be too bad, I suppose. All right, restocking this board. More land off the top is pretty bad. We don't want to power up Restless Bivouac, because if it is a Wandering Emperor, this would be a terrible card to lose to a Wandering Emperor. And then we're not even getting that much damage through. Like the counter could do something, I suppose. If we dump everything onto the board, I think we start with a draw. There could be something that affects combat, or something that we'd want to keep open too. Like a Get Lost. That's actually pretty good. Now we swing, and we see what happens. Looks like 3's getting through. Okay, opponent's down to 15. We're going to keep Reinforcements and Get Lost open, as well as our clues, too. Memory Deluge. That's probably a problem, huh? Okay, dump a couple cards into their hand. 5th mana drops. Is it going to be a Sunfall? Okay, attempt Resolute Reinforcements, which should be scary for us. If it's a counter, then... Okay, Devious Cover-Up. They go ahead, put the Dissipate and the Fateful Absence, shuffle it back into the deck. At that point, now that they only have 1 mana, it's going to be a Restless Bivouac turn for sure, right? They'll power this up, and we still have 1 mana open if we want to play like Frontliner. Frontliner doesn't have haste or anything. I don't want to run into a Sunfall. I think we're going to keep everything in hand. Put that on the Inspector. If we get it to a 2-3 and they eventually get a Wandering Emperor, then it gets around a block into a 2-2, right? Yep, I'm actually just not going to play any creatures, and hopefully I don't regret that. I think right now's the time. Okay, good. Now, technically, the Frontliner would have went to the grave, but if that was a Sunfall, that would have been devastating, dude. You know what I mean? At this point, we start with the draw. We only have 1 blue source open. So, Bivouac or set up for the turn. So, Bivouac swings for 3, down to 4. Or we go Frontliner, attempt Reinforcements on their turn. If we do everything, maybe we can get another board wipe out of their deck, then drop Frontliner. Or Reinforcements, I mean. We have 2 open. We have clues, Reinforcements, and a Get Lost. The tough decision, man, because while they're tapped out, you'd think like Restless Bivouac would be the play. Swing on in. But the island could be some tempo. They could have like a Fading Hope in here. I'm doubtful that it's like a Fading Hope. But you never know. And by only having 2 creatures here, there's a possibility. Oh, I mean, yeah, they're already past their second main phase, so if it's a Sunfall, they're just holding it. If it's a counterspell for Reinforcements, I mean, we're going pretty wide here, man. Maybe it's a Wandering Emperor. Oh, man. Crucible's a good draw. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. They gain 2 from a Wandering Emperor. We don't want them to exile the Bivouac is the thing. So unfortunately, if we go Crucible, we just don't have it. If it is a Wandering Emperor. Or any amount of removal, right? Not buffing this board state. So I'm going to keep Crucible back. We're going to start with a draw. Because we still have 4 mana open. Warleader's Call. Right, so if we play Crucible as a land, we'll have 2. It's going to be a counterspell. It's got to be a counterspell, right? It's a Make Disappear. We've been seeing a lot less Make Disappear. It's got to be the No More Lies, right? Which we won't have 3-4 anyways. So we keep Crucible in hand and not play around to Make Disappear. And we just, like, we go for it. Because if we power up Bivouac and they drop Wandering Emperor to exile the Bivouac, look at this, dude. It lands. Let's get that swing. That's got to be like the Wandering Emperor then, right? which is going to be exiling our 3/3. Union of the Third Path. Well, that's not what I was expecting at all. It's going to be a Fateful Absence for the 3/3/2. Actually going down to 6 here. So still a really good turn for us, guys. Now, like, worst case scenario would be a temporary lockdown. Like picking up our Warleader's Call, our clues. Farewell also is incredibly devastating. Holy cow, opponent. That's rough business, man. Epicure's a good draw. We just keep pushing, dude. We just keep pushing. Overall, I'd say what we saw in this match hasn't even been that terrific, huh? Like, the Warleader's Call at long last was great, but I think the opponent's still in danger. Field of Ruin can no longer pick up the Restless Bivouac, so they need some spot removal here. Oh, nice. Sunshot is not terrible, but we're going to start with the swing. 3. Tempo. It is not tempo. We got there. We just kept pushing, man. Good stuff. So playing it cautiously for a lot of that game was definitely worthwhile. The farewell was brutal. Like, finally we set up with the Warleader's Call, and they did have that answer. And we have been seeing, like, temporary lockdown a lot more recently, too. And it's got to be because of these Boros decks, right? Temporary lockdown is terrific against these Boros decks. Now, when you're setting up a control deck like that, and you're setting up a control deck to have an answer for everything, and often they do a great job at doing that, right? Having an answer right when they need it. When you're setting that up, I do wonder how often they also want to set up ways to, like, filter that out of their hand, too. Like, when you're not up against a deck that temporary lockdown is good against, like, how often do they actually play with Celestis, for example? Like, a way to filter that out and get just more goodies into their hand. That's a question for you guys, right? Because I don't play a whole lot of control like that. Opponent goes first. Dude, we're gonna try this, man. We have the combo in hand. If I mulliganed this, like, no. Like, absolutely not, dude. I'd be disappointed with myself. Like, we gotta keep this combo in hand and see what we can pull off here. Another Warleader's Call. Okay. Start with that Sundown Pass. Start with a Play with Fire to our face. So they did go first here. Mono red, oh. Blazing Crescendo style, huh? With a Reckless Impulse, too. Cool. All right. Get the Militia down. Frontliner's good. Even if we saw it last turn, we really wouldn't have been able to play it. If we did Frontliner in the Plains, then we wouldn't have had our 2-drop guaranteed. All right, guys. We have all the mana we need. And the opponent ended up just playing a second Reckless Impulse for the... Wait. I missed the opponent's turn, dude. I think the opponent missed the opponent's turn. What? Wait, where did the second Reckless Impulse come from? Their hand? Okay, now the big question. Do we just play... do we just play Ojer Axonil? Or do we set up with this Warleader's Call? And go from there? No, we just play Axonil. We just go for it, bro. Because we do have 2 creatures then at that point, too. We go like this. We shouldn't be taking 15 damage next turn. Opponent's at 8. And then we just drop 2 creatures, and that's it. So we'll see what they end up doing here. Technically, we only need 1 creature. And then we just use the Militia's ability, unless they have a way around it. Or, more fun, could just be Warleader's Call number 2 and then drop the Frontliner. Oh, or Resolute Reinforcements. Wow, there's like 1,000 ways. There's 1,000 ways to wrap up this game, bro. GG opponent. Look at that combo, dude. Wild damage. Yep, now the opponent went first. They had a pretty slow startup. As far as mono red goes, I think we should have been a little bit more pressured there by our turn 4, which is when the Ojer came down. So that was actually our turn 5, right? And we still had a good amount of health on our turn 5, which is a little bit lucky, I would say, right? I do think mono red puts the pressure on. We're usually sweating, or we're when they go first, we're usually like, well, if we don't keep blockers back, we die on turn 4. You know what I mean? And that's like 90% of the matches against mono red. So we might have gotten a little lucky there based on what they ended up seeing, and maybe the slower path that they chose for their mono red build too. Still seeing that combo is sick, dude. Holy cow. It's not even like, it's not a hard combo to pull off at all, is it? It's just 2 cards. 2 cards, get them on the board and be happy about it. When it goes first, okay. Well, we'll give this a shot. Lots of great stuff to draw into. Oh, mirror match. Kind of, right? Kind of, sort of mirror match. I mean, hey, you never know. They might be dropping Axonil as well. Yotian Frontliner. And it's going to be a Gleeful Demolition. Okay. Yep, that's a wild turn too. Frontliner. I guess we just keep reinforcements open. Keep all the blockers back. They went first too, so this is going to be a problem. Okay, thank goodness. They have nothing to buff this board state. They do get one of those above that. Yep, that's fine. Want to keep the get lost for their Warleader's call when it comes time. See, if we like did that on the Warleader's call and we would have only had 1 blocker, we would have been taking 4 here too. So at this point, I kind of want Frontliner off the board. There's moments where I wait to take care of the Frontliner. Let's lose a little bit less here and take 4 from the goblins. I don't know if this is great. Like, they eventually get to bring back Frontliner and stuff. Lightning Helix. So instead of losing less, we actually lost it all anyways, and they got to keep an extra creature. Okay, okay. Well, that's all something to think about for sure. Frontliner's a good blocker. More reinforcements and keeping that get lost open for the Warleader's call is gonna be key here. 4th mana. Frontliner comes back. See, now that won't come back when the Warleader is on the board. That's good. Now that we know that this is a version of Boros that's running some removal, I think we're going to want to block safely. Well, now we should block safely, but like getting the Lightning Helix off of our face is actually just not bad, is it? It really isn't. It really isn't. Oh crap. Okay, I'm gonna try it again, guys. It's a little silly taking 4 here. Let's see it, opponent. Okay, it's actually not. We actually get to keep 1. Yotian Frontliner's out of the equation. Like, we're kind of in this as long as we can draw well enough. Gonna start by filtering out this blood token. Warleader's call. Okay, dude. Do we die next turn? Not if we keep a blocker back. Let's get the call down while we can. We keep the 2/2 back as an emergency blocker in case they see something great off the top. Because like they could go 1 mana card into Recruiter. I mean, Crucible, that's great too, huh? They go for the swing, take out a goblin. Down to 7. At any point, we could just accidentally die here. So we need to establish a board state. Crucible's great. So is Reinforcement. Everything's pretty good here. Now the question is, do we keep Reinforcements and get lost as their surprise? and actually swing and actually try to start taking some damage off of the opponent. Okay, I'm down. Let's do this, man. The opponent only has one card remaining. We have a really great instant speed lineup for their turn. More mana. Beautiful. Beautiful stuff, man. GG opponent. I guess they figured it's going to start leaning in our direction. I'll take it, dude. 3 wins in a row. Wins are hard to come by sometimes. I'll take it. Maybe their last card in hand was some mana too, so they were flooding out a bit. What's nice about our build too is since we have Axonil on the top end, it's going to be pretty tricky to flood out because you're going to see that mana and you're going to be like, oh, thank goodness. Like now we can do Axonil and this on the same turn. You know what I mean? Or something like that. So. All right, opponent, what you bringing to the table, buddy? Only red sources. I don't think we have room to consider this, right? Because opponent's going first. See, that blood token could get us there, but I gotta be real with you guys. If it's not in your opening hand, it's as good as the bottom of the deck. So let's go ahead and drop them all again. Oh my goodness, dude. Okay, I'll keep this. I'll ditch one of the Axonils since there's no guarantee of seeing the 4th mana for a little bit, right? So the double Warleader's Call is probably a little better to keep, especially since that's legendary too. Whoa, more mirror match? Oh no, guys. Instead of reinforcements, I'm just now realizing that these are both called reinforcements. Instead of Resolute Reinforcements, we'll probably go with Rouse Reinforcements on our turn. Holy cow, dude. Hey, if we would have went first, I mean, like, oh no, another Axonil. Oh no, guys. Okay, I suppose the surprise block from the Resolute Reinforcements is a little bit better since this is sorcery speed. Anyways, I was gonna say if we would have went first, then we would have had a good balance for the last game. Sanguine Evangelist. See, there's so many great ways to put this Boros list together, which is one of my guesses as to why there's so many people playing Boros, right? Because depending on people's collection, right? So the Epicure was a good target for sure. Double block Inspector. Take 3. Really don't want that Frontliner on the board, and the Battle Cry is going to be a pain in the butt too. If we can keep something on the board, get the Inspector out of the equation. 3rd mana, pretty good. Okay, so the question is, do we set up to attempt Axonil? We might see an untapped source off the top, right? We might just die after that turn anyways. Or do we... what am I saying, dude? We've been doing pretty good so far. I say we just drop the call. See what happens. A great block into Evangelist, even though they have a great swing here. Inspector. Hope that last card doesn't give that Inspector haste, huh? It is. It's going to be Imodane's Recruiter. I was going to say, it sure feels like it, bro. And then Battle Cry comes through, and I think we died here. I think that's it. GG opponent, dude. Holy cow. So if we went first, we would have had a chance to set up the Axonil potentially, but then we probably just would have died of the turn after that anyways. Jeez, bro. Rough business, huh? Drawing the 3rd Axonil was particularly bad, I would say. As at that point, yeah, we definitely didn't want to see a 3rd one. What would we have wanted to see outside of the Ojer? A 4th turn? A 4th turn, that's something we would have wanted to see. But, like, Get Lost really wouldn't have done too much there since it was going to be Recruiter. Yeah, you guys see what I mean? Like, I don't know about that one, guys. Sometimes I say, like, oh, that could have gone either way, but All right, let's get that Bivouac down and then play 2 1-drops next turn. Okay, well, let's see what they end up countering here. And I think we might want to wait for the Gleeful Demolition. Right now, I think just getting something generic down. Hopefully we do get a chance. Did we go first today at some point? I think we did. I think we did. I'm just not remembering right now. Reinforcements. I don't want to run right into a depopulate next turn. Like, if we go Gleeful Demolition, like, that's a depopulate for sure. Or we would be tempting the opponents to populate if they had it, I should say, right? I should say it like that. But if we don't do something, so instead of Gleeful Demolition, we still might tempt the opponents to populate by having 3 things. Yotian Frontliner at the very least has Unearth, and then if they don't do anything on their turn, we could try the Reinforcements. Or have Get Lost. Or the Clue open. Actually. But it would probably be Reinforcements. Try to go as wide as possible. Okay, hopefully it's not Sunfall next turn. Yeah, I think the opponent going first here could be really good for them if they do get that Sunfall before we can buff this wide board state. Sunshot Militia. Actually pretty good, huh? If we start with a draw and get rid of like Gleeful Demolition, we could find like a Warleader's Call, play the Mountain, buff the wide board state, get a good swing in for 10. Still have 4 open though. If we ditch the Mountain, we'll only have 2 open. And if we see a call off the top, we won't have land in hand. But actually... Okay. Alright, we don't do anything fancy here. We just... Actually going to go on to the Inspector, see what happens. So it would have been a swing for 11, by the way, because of the Frontliner. If we saw a Warleader's Call off the blood token. Down to 10. I don't think we do anything, guys. I literally don't think we do anything. We just play the Mountain. I was thinking like maybe we trade it out, but no, we keep Get Lost open and we keep the Clue open to draw. We got to be super cautious about when they take out the board. Okay, a little bit of thinning the deck here. Taking out the Bivouac's really good for them. Grab a Plains. Oh. And... okay, yes, we'll still have the Get Lost open. Sometimes I forget if Field of Ruin brings the land back tapped or untapped. And I think it's like, I think Krinko's Buzz Crusher, the land comes back tapped, right? I think so. This is holding up on the opponent's side, right? Uh-oh, guys, I think my game crashed. Uh-oh. Hold up, I'm going to pause the recording and restart my game real quick. Welp, the game crashed, and it did not put me back into the match, guys. And I had to also restart the deck tracker, so hopefully that comes back here. Okay, it looks like it's back on. Well, that kind of sucks, guys. I don't even know if it counted as a win or a loss. So, hey, we have a pack. Mid-video pack. Let's go. Let's do this. Guys, always keep an eye on the description, where we have timestamps, and then at the bottom of the video we also have chapters. Always feel free to skip ahead to the next match. That definitely sucks. If I remember for that game, I will put in the chapter description like game crashes or something like that. I can't wait to build with this card, man. The Law Above. I want to do some kind of like Boros mid-range that just knows how to slam damage through. That's nice seeing another one of those for sure. All right, let's see if we can get right into the next match, huh? Hey, While you're here in the middle and while I'm talking about like the description and whatnot, while you're down there, definitely check out that Discord link. It's a great place for the community to get together, drop deck lists, just chat it up, all that fun stuff, talk about new upcoming sets, right? And then also in the description, we have that Patreon link too, if you're interested in supporting the channel that way. And the best benefit from the Patreon link, or the Patreon in general, right, is the fact that I prioritize patron suggestions to play here on the channel. So, okay, opponent goes first, unfortunately. Hopefully we don't crash again, dude. I've been crashing a lot in the last couple weeks. Yep, good hand, I would say. No extra 1-drops. Nothing to hit with Gleeful Demolition, actually. Maybe it's not a good starting hand. I think I fooled myself here. Oh, no, guys. Another Gleeful Demolition. Yeah, well, we're going to be awkwardly sitting here for a couple turns, I suppose. Since they went first, we should be very scared. Oh, they go for the draw off the clue. Huh. Okay. I guess they figure since they went first, they can try to go for more of a setup. Okay, keeping Resolute Reinforcements open is totally fine. Maybe we'll get a chance to take out the Inspector. Epicure comes down. Well, the good news about seeing all these Boros decks all the time is we're going to get pretty good at playing against them. That's the good news, right? So, this might be spot removal. Oh. Okay. They decide now's the time to play their reinforcements as well. Go for that double block. No worries, man. 1 card into 1 card, essentially. Novice Inspector. That's what I'm talking about, dude. But we're going to wait. We're going to slow down. We're going to go Warleader's Call and hope that they don't have Get Lost in their build, right? That's our thing. And then next turn, we just spam creatures onto the board. We just poop them out. Okay, another reinforcements. Yeah, dude, if that last card in hand is anything to buff this wide board state, then we're in serious trouble. So we definitely need to get these chump blockers down. What the crap, dude? They just ditched an Emodane's Recruiter. And they found a Knight Errant. They actually found something to play, too. And they restocked their hand. Hey, Lunarch Veteran. Nice addition, opponent. In the honorable mentions here for a good reason. I brought up in the honorable mentions, in case you guys skipped over that Lunarch Veteran feels underplayed in these Boros Go Wide lists. So. Okay. I mean, I suppose. I mean, at least we don't have to worry about Recruiter for a second, right? So there's absolutely no reason to not go super wide here, right? Because we're just like slamming damage through to the opponent's face. We have no great swings. But like we're gonna have so many blockers here. Jeez, bro. And the thing is too, like this is like such a fun strategy that it's just no wonder that everyone's trying Boros right now. You know what I mean? It does so much. And like we always see it do so much for the opponents too. Lunarch Veteran, yep. They're gonna be gaining some life here. That's huge for them, dude. It really is. That could easily push it in their favor. Get Lost. Okay, that could help out depending on some of their blocks here. Right, like we could take out Knight Errant. Depending on what they see on top, they could end up taking out a lot of these. Let's see where they end up blocking. I don't want to go Get Lost onto the Knight Errant before combat, because I think realistically, I think it depends. And with 4 open mana, so if we want to save the Inspector, we could pop the Knight Errant. But like I said, we could just let the Inspector die, see what happens next turn. Really depends, dude. I don't know. Like, what could it be, like, where we would actually want to keep this? Well, of course, it hits enchantments too, so if it's like Warleader's Call off the top, that's a much better hit for the Get Lost. They do double block. Look at this. They're getting rid of their Lunarch Veteran. Now, they will be able to cast it back, so that's a thought process there. Why are they taking lethal damage? I mean, hey, I'll take it. Hey! Did it count that? Oh, no, it didn't. Never mind. So I don't know how many games we actually ended up playing today. Up here, it counted 5 of them. I don't think it ever counts the ones that crash. Like I said, we've been crashing a lot the last couple weeks. I'm pretty sure the deck tracker never actually counts the ones that we crash in. So this loss was the other... What was the loss? Bro, I don't even know. Either way, the deck feels like it's doing a thing, but right, like, we only got to see the combo once. Let's try to get one more game in. We're about 41 minutes in. The games have been really fast. I want to see if we can get that combo onto the board again. Oh, the loss was the triple Axonil draw. Yeah, we had a couple Warleaders calls too. Yeah, that's right. So that means the one after that, the one that we crashed in was the control match. So we really don't know if we were going to win or lose that one at all. But it does look like if the deck tracker didn't count it, I'm sure that Arena didn't count it as a win or loss either. And at that point too, if the opponent, like if we only crashed on our side, hopefully the opponent wasn't just like waiting over there. And if they were waiting, hopefully they got that victory to count towards. Opponent goes first. Okay, well, we have proven that we don't have to go first, right? It's not the greatest hand, but I also don't think it's a mulligan, as we could draw a lot that could set this up. Sunset Revelry right away. That probably means they have 2 Sunset Revelries. But the blocker's pretty good here too. Okay, no attacks. Let's keep that Resolute Reinforcements open. Okay, Restless Anchorage. Okay, see if this lands. It does, in fact, land. All right, let's see that Warleader's Call off the top. More reinforcements. I don't think I mind that, actually. If we go full swing, they easily trade. Sunset Revelry being just such a terrific card, huh? And if they do end up trading through and they get the 1 through, then a second Revelry is just terrible. They gain 4, get a couple more humans back. So as awkward as it is, we're going to hold back for one more turn. I do want to buff the board state, but at the same time, we want to make sure that we don't run right into a board wipe too. So really tough decisions. I think we're going to go Clue for the turn to just try to see more off the top. The deuce. All right. I was going to say, we could go Reinforcements now if we don't want it to be countered, but then that's really just running right into a Depopulate. Or a temporary lockdown, too. Not a Sunfall yet. Yeah, I think we're going to end up drawing, get one step closer to the Warleader's Call. Get Lost isn't terrible. Mountain isn't terrible. Ojer Axonil is an option, but I'm pretty sure it gets taken care of here. So we do have double reinforcements if we want to do that. Do inspectors get around this pretty well? Now that we have the double inspectors on the board, let's see if like a Wandering Emperor drops and maybe we can get Ojer down. They are going to just go ahead and trade our 2-mana card into their 2-mana card, essentially, is how that works. So no Wandering Emperor. They still have 4 open, so I'm pretty sure Ojer ends up just not sticking. So we're just going to wait. Because double reinforcements is totally fine. Ah, Memory Deluge. Well, it's too bad. Maybe we end up drawing with Clue again. Restocking our hand against control could be really good. Oh, it's the Zergo and Ojutai build. Yeah, that gets hexproof for the turn, guys. So if we double down on reinforcements and actually see something that buffs our board, pretty risky. So maybe we should just go 1 reinforcements and draw with the clue. They get to bounce that back to their hand. And like the hexproof is a problem because like our instant speed get lost just does nothing against it. We're going to start with the draw. Frontliner. Going wide again with the reinforcements. We have 4 on the board. Oh, they had the discard. They had too many cards in hand. That's actually funny. So Ojer can come down, but now we're in Sunfall range. If we're in Sunfall range, losing the Ojer and the Frontliner to exile would be so bad, dude. But at this point, too, against control, like, when are we just gonna not survive anyways? Yeah, what the heck, man. The number of Sunfalls that I have run into by doing this. But also, there's moments where we're like, okay, we set up so much pressure. If they don't have it, then we could win next turn easily. And so maybe they don't have the Sunfall. And if it's a depopulate, for example, the destroy effect is much better on us. It's much easier on our soul, as Ojer becomes a land and Frontliner can be brought back at a later date. Sunfall just happens to be the most brutal form. Well, Farewell at this point too. They do have 6 mana. Guys, if it was a board wipe, they would have just dropped it by now, right? Okay, temporary lockdown. Wow, everything except for Ojer gets picked up. That is particularly good for them, but what's good for us is Get Lost is in our build. In our hand is what I mean to say there, and that happens to be pretty good. Instead of a board wipe, they just go ahead. They have a terrific turn. Absolutely terrific turn. They get a couple map tokens here. We get a lot back. We get those ETBs back. We're going to do all that at instant speed, mind you. So on our turn, we're going to go reinforcements. Inspector. Keep these open. At instant speed, we'll pop that temporary lockdown. Sounds pretty good, right? And hopefully they play their dragon for the turn. I love this artwork, man. It is going to be the Zergo and Ojutai. Trying to put that pressure on. This could easily be a No More Lies, and I did not play around that. Maybe I should have. If it's a No More Lies... Alright, so we do that before they grab something to their hand, right? It is going to be a No More Lies, guys. Yeah, they had it open, and because I spent 3 mana to get this other stuff onto the board... Oh, crap, dude. Hey, the 6th mana for the Ojer, though, isn't bad, I suppose. We're in trouble, but I also think the opponent's in trouble. I think this could go either way. Not hitting that lockdown was really bad, though. They go for the Zergo and Ojutai again. Getting us down to 6. We could die next turn easily, dude. Lightning Helix exists in this build. If we could get some non-combat damage with the Ojer, of course, that's only... Well, that's 8 cards in our build, actually, right? Yeah, dude. Warleader's Call off the top would end this, I think. They would need to remove the Axonil. Warleader's Call off the top. We have 3 open, so we're playing around a No More Lies. Oh no, they're removing the Ojer with the soul partition. Crap, there's nothing I could do about that. There's nothing I could do about that. Warleader's Call comes down. Okay. Swinging for 6. I think we die next turn, guys. A really good game from the opponent. We could go reinforcements now to play around a counter, but I'd rather play around a board wipe if that was their plan of survival. But I think we die here. I think they swing in the air with a Zergo and Ojutai and just drop a Lightning Helix to our face. What do you guys think? Oh, Sunset Revelry back up to 9. Guys, I don't think they have lethal. I think we have them on the run for the turn. Wandering Emperor. They still have 2 mana open, guys.
I've learned much during my
They'll have 2 mana. They're going back up to 11 here. Look at how brutal this control deck is. Yep. In yesterday's video, I believe it would be yesterday's video, we went up against this Jeskai control build. It looks super duper brutal. So look, if we play Ojer and we run into a No More Lies, where again, like the opponent is threatening lethal potentially next turn, especially if they see a Lightning Helix off the top, we just go wide here, swing. We go Crucible, this can't be countered. We'll have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They have 2 blockers. That would be, what, 8 damage getting through? So that's not enough. That won't do it. With their 2 blockers, that's the problem. We try Ojer because it's 5 damage to face from the call. And then we attempt the full swing to get the last 4 through. Come on, guys. Let's get there. Come on, guys. There it is. Let's go. Dude, all right. Really good win rate today. Don't forget there was that one match where we actually don't know if we would have won or lost. It was also against control. It could have easily been leaning towards the opponent, so that could have easily been a loss as well. Unfortunately, we ended up freezing. Other than that, pretty solid, man. So what? We got about 7 games in total. Very nice. Dude, let's go talk about this list. Oh, yeah. So first of all, God of War. I can't be the first person. I can't be the first person to call a Warleader's Call Ojer Axonil list God of War, right? But that might be what I put it up as over on Aether Hub. I haven't decided yet, but like I said, I can't be the first one to call a list that. Outside of that, this combo is wild, dude. Warleader's Call and Ojer Axonil. In that last list, we were kind of sweating a little bit, like, are we actually going to be able to utilize this Ojer's ability, where of course it's non-combat damage. And so outside of that, like I said, I got excited when I said it in that last one. We actually have 8 cards remaining in the list that could have done non-combat damage. Sunshot Militia being one of them, and Warleader's Call as well, and we top-decked that Warleader's Call. Sunshot Militia also would have been pretty good, dude. Yeah, that would have been a really good draw too. Now, any amount of removal from the opponent there, yeah, on the Soul Partition, if that was just normal removal for the Ojer, we would have definitely struggled to actually flip it back from Temple of Power too. When I went over the list, did I go over Temple of Power? Like when this dies, it comes back as the land. And I don't know if I went over that, funny enough. Well, it didn't come into play today anyways, but still, I probably should have went over it. The one Restless Bivouac should probably be like 2, but like coming in tapped happens to be pretty bad sometimes, especially when you're in a mirror match scenario or just up against another super aggressive deck, which there's a lot of right now. Just like coming in tapped, dude. Like the Restless Bivouac is so dang good against control builds. So like you got to find that really nice balance. And I think 2 would totally work fine. Something to consider for sure. The Get Lost, I think this is totally the correct removal for this build. Right? Especially since we are seeing a lot of the other Boros decks. Just being able to have that option to hit the Warleader's Call is so good. Now, we didn't get to see today if we end up picking up one of our own creatures for the map tokens, but that's mainly because we also didn't see like Sunshot Militia too. Like, you never know if the opponent, like if you are up against a control deck and the opponent's going to remove your stuff anyways, well then doing a destroy effect on top of the stack of a Sunfall could actually really help out in your favor. Destroy your frontliner, goes to the graveyard, has that unearthed, Sunfall exiles everything else anyways, and you get your map tokens too. Actually pretty cool. The 3 of Gleeful Demolition seemed fine. I wouldn't go up to 4. Same thing with the 3 frontliners. Actually, the lineup here was totally fine. There's no like real curve to the deck, but it totally felt curvy, if that makes sense, right? Like it's still curved out nicely where there's things like, for example, you'll want to do 2 things on your turn 3, like a Rouse Reinforcement and an Epicure. And so like because of that, like the deck still curves out nicely, if that makes sense. Okay, guys, really sick suggestion. Thank you again for the suggestion. Again, it was to play Warleader's Call with the Ojer Axonil, and I believe in the suggestion as well, Sunshot Militia was also brought up too. I would have loved to see more of this today, but actually I do think it would have been pretty solid overall. And just like putting together a list that's not 100% meant to swing in, but instead is just trying to continuously poke the opponent's face, actually just really fun. It's a really fun like style to build around. Overall, I do think that this did so well because I think this style of Boros is in a really good position right now. Another reason why everyone's playing it too, right? Since there's so many great ways to put it together as well. Like, yeah, dude. All right. Hey, if you made it this far into the video, for real, y'all are champions. I super duper appreciate you. Let me know what you would add or take out down in the comments. Let me know if you enjoyed, of course, all that fun stuff. And I will see you in the next video.